The mountain road curved like a snake through the pine trees, each turn taking Marcus deeper into the wilderness. His hands gripped the wheel of his black Mercedes, knuckles white against the leather. In the rearview mirror, he could see his 8-year-old daughter Sarah sitting quietly in her booster seat, her legs dangling uselessly beneath a thick blanket. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from and subscribe to the channel. We'd love to see how far our stories are reaching. "Daddy, where are we going?" Sarah asked, her voice sweet and trusting. She held a small toy elephant in her lap, the one her mother had given her before the accident that took both her ability to walk and her mother's life. "Somewhere special, Princess," Marcus replied, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Just you and me today." Sarah beamed at him through the mirror. She loved their daddy-daughter days, though they had become rare since Marcus started seeing Rebecca. His new girlfriend had made her feelings about Sarah crystal clear during their conversation last week. "She's holding you back, Marcus," Rebecca had said while filing her perfectly manicured nails. "You're 35 years old. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life pushing a wheelchair and dealing with medical appointments? There are places for children like her." The words had planted themselves in Marcus's mind like poisoned seeds. Every time he looked at Sarah, he saw doctor bills, therapy sessions, and a future chained to responsibilities he never asked for. His wife Emma had begged him to promise he would always take care of Sarah, but Emma was gone now. The promises felt as distant as her memory. The GPS announced they had reached their destination. Marcus pulled into a small clearing at Eagles Point, a remote overlook he had discovered during his hiking days. The view stretched for miles across the valley below, and more importantly, no one ever came here during winter. "Wow," Sarah breathed as Marcus lifted her from the car into her lightweight wheelchair. "It's like we're on top of the world." The wind cut through the trees with a sharp whistle, and snow crunched under Marcus's boots as he pushed Sarah toward the edge of the overlook. His heart pounded against his ribs, but he kept walking. This was the only way out. Rebecca had already found a boarding school in another state. They could start fresh, just the two of them. "Daddy, I brought something for Luna," Sarah said, pulling a small bag of apple slices from her jacket pocket. "In case we see her." Marcus's step faltered. Luna was Sarah's white horse, a gentle mare that Emma had bought just months before the car accident. The horse lived at a stable 15 minutes away, and Sarah visited her every weekend. Marcus had planned to sell Luna after today. Another problem solved. "That's nice, sweetheart," he managed to say. They reached the rocky edge where the ground dropped away into a steep ravine filled with boulders and scraggly trees. The wind was stronger here, and Sarah pulled her hat down over her ears. "Can we come back here with Luna someday?" she asked, looking up at him with Emma's eyes. "I bet she would love to see this view." Something twisted in Marcus's chest, but he pushed it away. He thought of Rebecca waiting at home, of the freedom that was just one decision away. His hands tightened on the wheelchair handles. "Sarah," he said quietly, "I want you to know that I love you. I love you too, Daddy. More than all the stars." It was something Emma used to say. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment, then took a step back from the edge. His muscles tensed. One push. That's all it would take. But as he prepared to move, a sound echoed through the trees that made his blood run cold. The thundering of hooves against frozen ground, growing louder and closer. Through the pines, a flash of white appeared. "Luna!" Sarah cried out in delight. The white horse burst into the clearing like something from a dream, her breath creating clouds in the cold air. Her eyes were wild, focused, as if she had been searching for something, or someone. Marcus stumbled backward, his plan crumbling. "That's impossible. She's at the stable." But Luna was here, and she was moving straight toward them. The horse slowed as she approached Sarah, lowering her head to nuzzle the girl's outstretched hand. "How did you find us, girl?" Sarah laughed, stroking Luna's soft nose. "Did you miss me?" Marcus's mind raced. The stable was miles away. Horses didn't just escape and track people through the mountains. Unless someone had brought her here. Unless someone knew. "We need to go," Marcus said, his voice sharp with panic. "Now." "But Luna just got here," Sarah protested. "Can't we stay a little longer?" "No." The word came out harsher than Marcus intended, and Sarah flinched. Luna's ears flattened against her head, and she stepped protectively closer to the wheelchair. Marcus grabbed the handles and began pushing Sarah back toward the car, but Luna followed, staying right beside them. When they reached the Mercedes, The horse positioned herself between the vehicle and Sarah, refusing to move. "She doesn't want to leave you," Sarah said, clearly delighted by Luna's behavior. Marcus tried to lift Sarah from her wheelchair, but Luna pushed between them, her large body creating a barrier. The horse's eyes met his, and for a moment, Marcus felt like she could see straight into his soul. "Get away," he hissed at the animal, but Luna didn't budge. A new sound reached them from the forest. Voices calling out. Marcus's blood turned to ice as he recognized one of them. "Sarah, Sarah, where are you?" It was Tom Harrison, the stable owner. He emerged from the trees with two other men, all of them looking worried and determined. "There you are," Tom called out, relief flooding his voice. "We've been looking everywhere." Marcus forced a smile. "Just taking my daughter for a drive. Nothing wrong with that." Tom approached slowly, his eyes moving from Marcus to Sarah to Luna. "Funny thing happened this morning." Luna broke out of her stall and took off running. "My workers followed her tracks, and they led straight here." He paused, studying Marcus's face, almost like she knew exactly where she was going. "Horses can be unpredictable," Marcus said, trying to keep his voice steady. "True," Tom agreed. "But Luna's never broken out before, and she's never run toward anything except Sarah." His gaze shifted to the wheelchair positioned dangerously close to the cliff edge. Curious place for a family outing, especially in winter. Sarah looked between the adults, sensing tension she didn't understand. "Luna came to visit me," she said innocently. "She always knows when I need her." One of Tom's companions, a younger man with kind eyes, knelt beside Sarah. "Your horse loves you very much. Animals have a way of protecting the people they care about." Marcus felt the walls closing in around him. These men suspected something. Luna had somehow sensed danger and led them here. His perfect plan was falling apart. "We should head back," Tom said firmly. "It's getting late, and this weather can turn dangerous quickly." Marcus nodded, knowing he had no choice. As he moved toward the car, Tom stepped beside him. "You know, Marcus," Tom said quietly, "Emma made me promise something before she died. She asked me to watch out for Sarah, to make sure she was always safe and loved." His voice carried a warning. "I take promises to dying mothers very seriously." The drive back down the mountain was silent except for Sarah's cheerful chatter about Luna's surprise visit. Marcus's hands shook on the steering wheel as he realized how close he had come to disaster. But more than that, he realized someone was watching him now. Someone who cared about Sarah and wouldn't let her disappear without questions. As they reached the main road, Marcus glanced in his rearview mirror. Tom's truck was following at a distance, and Luna ran alongside it, her white coat gleaming in the fading sunlight. The horse had saved Sarah today, but Marcus knew this wasn't over. Rebecca would be furious when she learned their plan had failed, and now there were witnesses who suspected the truth. The road ahead stretched into uncertainty, but one thing was clear. Sarah had protectors he hadn't counted on, and the white horse leading the way seemed determined to keep his daughter safe, no matter what he tried to do. The next morning, Marcus woke to find Rebecca pacing around his kitchen like a caged animal. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a severe ponytail, and her face was tight with anger. "You had one job," she said without looking at him. "One simple task, and you couldn't even do that." Marcus poured himself coffee with shaking hands. He hadn't slept all night, replaying the scene at Eagles Point over and over. The horse showed up, and then the stable owner. It was like they knew. Horses don't just know things, Marcus. Someone tipped them off. Rebecca stopped pacing and fixed him with a cold stare. "Or maybe you're just a coward who can't follow through." Before Marcus could respond, Sarah rolled into the kitchen in her wheelchair, already dressed for the day. "Good morning, Daddy." "Good morning, Rebecca." Rebecca's expression shifted instantly to a fake smile. "Morning, sweetie. How did you sleep?" "Really good. I dreamed about Luna. She was flying over the mountains like Pegasus." Sarah beamed at the memory, then looked at Marcus. "Can we visit her today? I want to thank her for finding us yesterday." Marcus felt Rebecca's eyes burning into him. "Maybe later, Princess. Daddy has some things to take care of first." After Sarah went to watch cartoons in the living room, Rebecca grabbed Marcus's arm. "Listen, today, I don't care how you do it, but that girl cannot be here when I get back from my business trip next week." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying figure it out. There are institutions. Accidents happen. Children run away." Her grip tightened. "I'm not spending my life playing stepmother to a crippled kid." Marcus pulled away from her. "Don't call her that." Oh, now you're protective? Yesterday, you were ready to push her off a cliff. Rebecca grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Fix this, Marcus, or find yourself a new girlfriend. The house felt eerily quiet after Rebecca left. Marcus sat at the kitchen table, staring at his phone. Maybe she was right. Maybe there were other options he hadn't considered. Places that specialized in children with disabilities. He could tell people Sarah needed more care than he could provide. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Tom Harrison. Marcus's stomach dropped. He looked toward the living room where Sarah was laughing at her cartoons, completely unaware of the storm gathering around her. An hour later, Marcus found himself sitting across from Tom Harrison at a small diner on the edge of town. The stable owner ordered coffee and apple pie, acting casual, but his eyes never left Marcus's face. Hell of a coincidence yesterday, Tom said, cutting into his pie. Luna breaking out right when you decided to take Sarah to that particular spot. I told you, we were just driving around. Eagles Point isn't exactly on the way to anywhere. Tom took a bite and chewed thoughtfully. You know, I've been raising horses for 30 years. They're smart animals. Smarter than most people give them credit for. They can sense things. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. What's your point? My point is that Luna has never acted like that before. Breaking out, running for miles, leading us straight to you and Sarah. Tom set down his fork and leaned forward. It's almost like she knew Sarah was in danger. That's ridiculous. Is it? Tom pulled out his phone and showed Marcus a video. This is from my security camera yesterday morning. Watch Luna's behavior right before she broke out. On the small screen, Marcus could see Luna in her stall, calm and peaceful. Then suddenly, the horse's head shot up, her ears forward, as if she had heard something. She began pacing, agitated, before throwing her weight against the stall door until the latch broke. The timestamp shows this happened right around the time you and Sarah left your house, Tom said quietly. How do you explain that? Marcus had no explanation. He stared at the video, feeling sick. There's something else, Tom continued. Emma asked me to keep an eye on Sarah, but she also asked me to watch out for signs that you might not be coping well. She was worried about what would happen if you started to see Sarah as a burden instead of a blessing. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Emma had known. Even dying, she had seen through him. I'm fine, Marcus said weakly. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're a man under a lot of pressure. Maybe pressure from someone who doesn't understand what it means to love a child unconditionally. Marcus's head snapped up. You don't know anything about my life. I know Rebecca doesn't like Sarah. I know she's been pushing you to send the girl away. And I know that yesterday, you took your disabled daughter to a remote cliff where accidents could easily happen. Tom's voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath. What I don't know is whether you've completely lost your mind, or if there's still some part of the man Emma fell in love with left inside you. Tears stung Marcus's eyes. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. The medical bills, the constant care, the looks people give me when we're out in public. I never signed up for this. Yes, you did, Tom said firmly. The moment you became a father, you signed up for everything that comes with it. The good and the bad. Emma knew that. It's why she trusted you with the most precious thing in her life. Marcus buried his face in his hands. I can't do it anymore. I'm drowning. Then let people help you. There are support groups, respite care, financial assistance. There are solutions that don't involve hurting a little girl who loves you more than her own life. When Marcus looked up, Tom was watching him with something that might have been pity. I'm going to make you an offer, Tom said. Bring Sarah to the stable every day after school. She can spend time with Luna, and my wife Claire can help with her care. It'll give you a break, and it'll give Sarah the love and attention she deserves. Why would you do that? Because Emma was my friend, and I made her a promise. But more than that, because every child deserves to be protected, especially from the people who should love them most. Tom stood to leave, then paused. Think about it, Marcus. But think fast. Because if I even suspect that Sarah is in danger again, I won't hesitate to call social services. Luna may have saved her yesterday, but next time, I might not be so lucky. After Tom left, Marcus sat alone in the diner for another hour, staring at his reflection in the coffee cup. When he finally drove home, he found Sarah in the backyard, drawing with colored pencils on a large pad of paper. What are you working on, princess? Sarah looked up with a bright smile. I'm drawing Luna saving me from a scary dream. See, she has wings, and she's flying me away from the bad place. Marcus looked at the drawing and felt his blood run cold. Sarah had drawn herself in a wheelchair at the edge of a cliff, with a white horse swooping down to rescue her. In the corner of the paper, she had drawn a dark figure pushing the wheelchair. "Sarah," Marcus said carefully, "what made you think to draw this?" "I had a weird dream last night. About yesterday at the pretty place. In the dream, someone was trying to hurt me, but Luna came and scared them away." She looked up at him with innocent eyes. "Dreams are silly sometimes, aren't they, Daddy?" Marcus stared at his daughter, realizing she had understood more about yesterday than he thought. On some level, she knew what had almost happened. And somehow, Luna had known too. That evening, after Sarah went to bed, Marcus called Tom Harrison. "I want to take you up on your offer," he said quietly. "About Sarah spending time at the stable." "Smart choice," Tom replied. "But Marcus, this is your last chance. If you ever put that child in danger again, Luna won't be the only one coming for you. Do we understand each other?" Marcus looked towards Sarah's room, where she slept peacefully with a stuffed horse tucked under her arm. "We understand each other," he said. But even as he spoke the words, Marcus knew his problems were far from over. Rebecca would be back soon, and she wouldn't accept Tom's solution. The pressure would start again, and Marcus wasn't sure he was strong enough to resist it. What he didn't know was that Luna was already standing guard in the paddock nearest to his house, her white coat glowing in the moonlight as she watched over the home where Sarah slept. 3 weeks passed in an uneasy routine. Every afternoon, Marcus drove Sarah to Harrison's stables, where she spent hours with Luna under Claire Harrison's watchful eye. The arrangement gave Marcus the breathing room he desperately needed, but it also meant he was under constant observation. Claire Harrison was a gentle woman with graying hair and kind eyes, but Marcus could feel her studying him whenever he picked Sarah up. She always had detailed reports about Sarah's day, almost as if she was documenting everything for some unseen authority. Sarah's been asking about her mother more lately, Claire mentioned one evening as Marcus loaded Sarah's wheelchair into his car. She wants to know if Luna misses Emma too. Marcus felt the familiar twist in his stomach. What did you tell her? That love doesn't disappear when someone dies. It just changes form. Claire's gaze was steady. Animals understand that better than most people. The comment felt loaded with meaning, but before Marcus could respond, his phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca, landing in 2 hours. "We need to finish our conversation." Sarah chattered happily about Luna during the drive home, unaware of the storm clouds gathering around her small world. She had been flourishing at the stable, gaining confidence and joy that Marcus hadn't seen since before Emma's death. But Rebecca's return meant those peaceful days were about to end. Rebecca arrived at the house like a hurricane, her designer suitcase rolling behind her as she surveyed the living room where Sarah was doing homework at her special table. "Well," she said coolly, "I see nothing has changed." Marcus helped Sarah with her math problems while Rebecca unpacked in the bedroom, but he could feel the tension building like pressure in a storm system. After Sarah went to bed, Rebecca cornered him in the kitchen. 3 weeks, Marcus. I gave you 3 weeks to handle this situation, and the kid is still here. She's my daughter. This is her home. This is my home now too, and I won't share it with someone else's damaged child. Rebecca's voice was ice cold. I've done some research while I was away. There's a residential facility in Denver that specializes in children with mobility issues. Very discreet, very professional. Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. You want me to institutionalize her? I want you to make a choice. Her or me. Because I promise you, Marcus, I will not stay in this house with that constant reminder of your previous life. Before Marcus could respond, a soft sound from the hallway made them both freeze. Sarah sat in her wheelchair at the edge of the kitchen, her face pale and her eyes wide with understanding. Sarah, Marcus started, but she turned her wheelchair around and rolled away without a word. Marcus found her in her bedroom 20 minutes later, sitting by the window with her drawing pad. She had been crying, but her tears were dry now, replaced by something that looked disturbingly like resignation. Princess, how much did you hear? Enough. Sarah's voice was small but steady. Rebecca doesn't want me here. Marcus sat on her bed, reaching for her hand. It's complicated, sweetheart. No, it's not. Sarah looked at him with Emma's eyes. She wants you to send me away, and you're thinking about it. The truth hung between them like a physical presence. Marcus wanted to deny it, Wanted to promise her that nothing would ever separate them, but the words wouldn't come. I drew something today, Sarah said, showing him her latest picture. Claire helped me understand it. The drawing showed a man standing at a crossroads. One path led to a dark building with barred windows, where a small figure sat alone. The other path led to a bright stable where a girl and a white horse played together in sunshine. The man has to choose, Sarah explained. Claire said sometimes adults forget that love is supposed to be the easy choice. Marcus stared at the drawing, seeing his own moral crossroads laid out in crayon and colored pencil. His 8-year-old daughter had captured the essence of his dilemma with devastating clarity. I love you, Sarah. More than anything. I know, Daddy. But sometimes love isn't enough if someone else is louder. The next morning, Marcus woke to find Rebecca packing her bags again. Where are you going? To stay at a hotel until you make your decision. I'm not sleeping in the same house as that manipulative little brat one more night. She's 8 years old. She's Emma's ghost, and she's haunting both of us. Rebecca zipped her suitcase with violent force. You have 48 hours, Marcus. Choose. After Rebecca left, Marcus called in sick to work and spent the day driving aimlessly through the mountains. He found himself back at Eagles Point, staring at the cliff where everything had almost ended weeks ago. His phone rang. Tom Harrison. We need to talk. Now. Marcus met Tom at the stable, where Luna grazed peacefully in the afternoon sun. Sarah was at school, unaware that her fate was being decided by the adults in her life. Claire had an interesting conversation with Sarah yesterday, Tom said without preamble, about residential facilities and people making choices. Marcus's shoulders sagged. She overheard Rebecca and me talking. That child is terrified, Marcus. She's trying to be brave, but she's 8 years old and she thinks her own father is planning to abandon her. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Tom's voice was hard. You can choose to be the father Emma believed you could be, or you can choose to be the kind of man who destroys a child to please his girlfriend. Marcus looked toward the paddock where Luna stood, her white head turned in their direction as if she was listening to every word. Rebecca says she won't stay if Sarah does. Then let her leave. Good women don't ask men to choose between them and their children. Only selfish ones do. You don't understand. Without Rebecca, I'm alone with all of this. The responsibility, the medical needs, the future. You're not alone. Claire and I are here. The support group in town meets every Thursday. There are resources, programs, people who want to help. Tom stepped closer. But most importantly, you have Sarah. That little girl would walk through fire for you if she could walk at all. That evening, Marcus sat in Sarah's room while she got ready for bed. She moved through her routine quietly, her usual chatter replaced by a heavy silence that broke Marcus's heart. Sarah, I need to tell you something. She looked at him expectantly, her small hands folded in her lap. I'm not sending you away. Ever. This is your home, and I'm your father, and nothing is ever going to change that. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. What about Rebecca? Rebecca has to make her own choices. But my choice is you. It will always be you. Sarah launched herself from her wheelchair into Marcus's arms, sobbing with relief. As he held her, Marcus felt something shift inside him, like a locked door finally opening. The next morning, Rebecca returned to collect her answer. She found Marcus and Sarah having breakfast together, Sarah chattering excitedly about a new exercise Luna had learned. Well, Rebecca demanded. Marcus looked at his daughter, then at the woman who had almost convinced him to throw away the most precious thing in his life. Sarah and I are going to visit Luna after school today. You're welcome to join us, but if you can't accept that she's part of my life, then you need to leave. Rebecca's face cycled through shock, anger, and finally cold calculation. You're making a mistake, Marcus. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is almost listening to you. After Rebecca stormed out, Sarah reached across the table and took Marcus's hand. Are you sad, Daddy? Marcus thought about it honestly. A little. But I'm also relieved. And proud. Proud of what? Proud that I finally made the right choice. That afternoon at the stable, Luna seemed to sense the change in the air. She nuzzled Marcus's shoulder gently, as if offering forgiveness for his moments of weakness. Claire Harrison watched from the barn door, a small smile on her face. Emma would be proud of you, she said quietly. Marcus nodded, finally believing it might be true. But as he watched Sarah laugh with pure joy as Luna performed her new trick, He realized the real victory wasn't earning Emma's posthumous approval. It was earning the right to see his daughter's trust restored, one day at a time. The hardest choice had turned out to be the simplest one after all. 6 months later, Marcus barely recognized his own life. The transformation hadn't happened overnight, but each day had built upon the last until something beautiful had emerged from what once felt like insurmountable challenges. The Harrison stables had expanded, and Sarah was at the heart of it. What began as afternoon visits had evolved into something much larger when Claire Harrison noticed how other children with disabilities responded to Sarah's gentle confidence around the horses. "She has a gift," Claire had told Marcus one evening as they watched Sarah help a shy boy named Tommy approach one of the therapy horses. "She knows exactly what it feels like to be afraid, but she also knows how to find courage." Now, on a crisp Saturday morning in early spring, Marcus stood at the entrance to what everyone had started calling Sarah's sanctuary. The wooden sign Claire had commissioned bore those words in elegant script, along with a carving of a white horse that looked remarkably like Luna. The grand opening was scheduled for noon, but families had been arriving since 10 o'clock. Marcus watched from the main barn as parents helped children from cars and vans, some in wheelchairs, others using walkers or crutches, all of them looking nervous and hopeful. Sarah moved among them like a young ambassador, her own wheelchair allowing her to meet the children at eye level. She had grown taller over the past months, her face fuller and more radiant than Marcus had seen since Emma's death. "Everyone feels scared the first time," Sarah was telling a girl about her age who clung to her mother's hand. "But the horses can tell when you're nervous, and they're extra gentle. Luna taught me that." Marcus felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to find Tom Harrison beside him. "Hard to believe this all started with you trying to." Tom's voice trailed off, but the unfinished sentence hung between them. "I know." Marcus couldn't look away from his daughter. "I almost destroyed the best thing in my life. But you didn't. That's what matters now." Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the pediatric therapist who had partnered with the Harrisons to create the program, approached them with a clipboard full of forms and a smile that reached her eyes. "We have 12 families registered for the first session," she announced, "and a waiting list of 20 more. I think you've started something special here." The program was simple but powerful. Children with physical disabilities or trauma came to work with specially trained therapy horses under professional supervision. Sarah wasn't officially a therapist, but her presence had become integral to the process. She understood the fear and frustration in ways that adults sometimes couldn't reach. As the official ceremony began, Marcus found himself thinking about Rebecca. She had tried to contact him several times after she left, alternating between anger and attempts at reconciliation. He had blocked her number after she suggested that his obsession with playing father would ruin his career prospects. She had been wrong about everything. His relationship with Sarah had actually made him a better manager at the company where he worked. Understanding patience and advocacy in his personal life had translated into stronger leadership skills. His boss had even mentioned the possibility of a promotion. "Ladies and gentlemen," Tom's voice carried across the gathering, "welcome to Sarah's sanctuary." The crowd of about 50 people applauded as Sarah wheeled forward to cut the ceremonial ribbon stretched across the barn entrance. Luna stood beside her, wearing a garland of spring flowers that some of the children had made during the week. "Before we begin our first session," Sarah said, her voice clear and confident, "I want to tell you about Luna. She saved my life, but not in the way you might think." Marcus held his breath, wondering how much of their story Sarah would share. "I used to be really scared after my mom died. Scared that I was too much trouble, scared that people wouldn't want to be around me because I was different." Sarah reached up to stroke Luna's neck. "But Luna taught me that being different isn't the same as being broken. And she taught me that love doesn't give up, even when things get really hard." A woman in the crowd wiped tears from her eyes. Marcus recognized her as Mrs. Peterson, whose son Danny had been born with spina bifida. "So when you work with the horses today," Sarah continued, "remember that they see who you really are, not what you can't do. They see your heart." The ribbon fell away, and the children began their first session. Marcus watched as Luna gently approached each new child, somehow knowing exactly how to move and where to position herself. With Tommy, she stood perfectly still while he gained confidence. With a girl named Maya who had lost her leg in an accident, Luna actually lay down so Maya could more easily brush her mane from her wheelchair. Dr. Walsh documented everything, taking notes about breakthrough moments and emotional responses. But Marcus found himself more interested in the parents, watching their faces transform as they saw their children laughing and engaged in ways they might not have experienced in months or years. "This is what Emma dreamed of," Claire said, appearing at Marcus's side. "She always said that suffering shared becomes more bearable, and joy shared becomes greater." Marcus nodded, remembering conversations with his late wife about her desire to help other families facing challenges. Emma had believed that their experiences with Sarah could become a source of strength for others. At the time, Marcus had thought it was naive idealism. Now he realized it was profound wisdom. As the afternoon progressed, Marcus found himself in conversation with other parents. They shared stories about sleepless nights and medical bills, about small victories and daily struggles that outsiders couldn't understand. For the first time since Emma's death, Marcus felt like he belonged to a community. "The hardest part isn't the physical stuff," confided James, Danny Peterson's father. "It's the isolation. People don't know what to say, so they say nothing. Eventually, they stop trying." Marcus understood completely. "I thought I had to carry everything alone. I almost made some terrible decisions because of that." "But you didn't," James pointed out. "You found another way." As the sun began to set, the last family loaded their son into their van and drove away. Sarah sat in her wheelchair beside Luna, both of them looking tired but content. "How do you feel, Princess?" Marcus asked. "Happy. Really, really happy." Sarah looked up at him. "Daddy, can I ask you something?" "Anything. Do you think Mom can see what we built here?" Marcus considered the question seriously. "I think if she can, she's probably pretty proud of both of us." "I think so too. And I think she probably likes that we figured out how to help other kids like me." That evening, after Sarah had gone to bed, Marcus sat on the porch of their house, which now felt like a true home rather than a burden to be escaped. His phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Walsh. "Thank you for sharing your daughter with us. She gave 3 children the courage to try something new today. That's the beginning of healing." Marcus looked toward the stable in the distance, where Luna grazed peacefully under the stars. The white horse had somehow known that Sarah needed protection, not just from external dangers, but from the doubt and fear that could have consumed both of them. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. There would be medical appointments and therapy sessions, financial concerns, and logistical complications. But Marcus no longer faced those challenges alone, and more importantly, he no longer saw them as barriers to happiness. Sarah had taught him that love multiplied when it was shared, that strength could be found in vulnerability, and that the choice to keep trying was the only choice that mattered. As he prepared to go inside, Marcus heard the soft sound of hoofbeats on grass. Luna had approached the fence line closest to the house, her white coat luminous in the moonlight. She looked towards Sarah's bedroom window, then at Marcus, as if checking that all was well. "Thank you," Marcus whispered to the horse who had saved them both. Luna nickered softly in response, then returned to her grazing, a guardian angel with a mane of starlight, watching over the family she had chosen to protect.